Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Just want the thing to pop up on my not Facebook, YouTube page. I know what I mean. So, put that on pause so I don't hear myself, or actually put it on mute and let it play. So, basic two things that are on my mind for this video is the state of libertarianism, and let's take politics out of entertainment shows. And really didn't say entertainment because I do think documentaries and films can have points for specific reasons. So when I say entertainment shows, I mean like the Tonys, the Golden Globes, the Emmys, the Grammys. That's what I mean, okay? I'm not talking about entertainment as in movies or music, because sometimes politics is a very good persuading thing in entertainment. So I want to talk about that first. So, partisan politics has poisoned everything. It's poisoned religion. It's poisoned Congress. It's poisoned entertainment shows. Now, let's go back 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 30 years ago, okay? Let's go back. Now, let's remember, every now and then, yes, a celebrity did get political. Being a great example, in 1976, he was not nominated, and he won the Oscar. No, 1973. He won and was nominated for Don Vito Corleone for The Godfather. However, he refused the Oscar, which in his case, I really do applaud him, because I do think Oscars are fucking stupid. But he turned it down because due to the anti-Native American, anti-Indigenous people portrayal that was in movies. Now, in that case, partisan politics worked. You don't see Indians being treated the same way they always were. It was because of that act that Marlon Brando did by sending the Native American young woman to deny the Oscar in Marlon's behalf. That changed Hollywood. Stuff like that does work. However, for the most part, most of the Oscars weren't political. Most of the Emmys, Grammys, Tonys weren't political. They were entertainment shows. For example, like you could go to the back of the histories of a lot of these shows, and they weren't political. They were about entertainment. They were about escapism. The Bob Hope did the Oscars for many years as host. And think about it. This is Bob fucking Hope. Did he talk about politics at the Oscars? No. He talked about politics at USO shows. These aren't the Oscars. USO shows are shows for the troops. Now, with that being said, Oscars, movies, entertainment, escapism, USO shows, military, war, politics. See, political jokes make sense in that realm, but it doesn't make sense at the Oscars. It doesn't make sense at an award show like that. Now, let's take politics out of there. And now I know it's award season. The Oscars are in March, and then the Tonys are on, I believe, in May or June. They're always in the spring. So I have an idea how we can take partisan politics out of there. First of all, at the Tonys, were the Tony Awards. If you followed the awards, and if you don't, I kind of do envy you. But the Tony Award shows are basically for Broadway, Broadway people. And so normally they have an orchestra, and the orchestra plays all the selected songs that from each show that's on Broadway and all that. So instead of this year, instead of having an orchestra of various instruments like tubas, French horns, saxophones, flutes, cornets, so on and so forth, replace them with bagpipe players. Every single section, bagpipe players. Let that sink in. Bagpipe players. That would really take the politics out of it, because you'll get people of all political backgrounds calling NBC, CBS, I forget which station does it. You'll get them calling, like, requesting by force that these bagpipe players get removed from the show. Because who in their right mind says, you know, I really like the sound of bagpipes? No one. So that would really bring people together to take the politics out of it, because it would get people to complain, to get the bagpipe players removed, and get the orchestra back. See what I mean? Like, you get people together to band together on something that we could all collectively agree on, is that nobody likes bagpipes. So make people's ears bleed with the bagpipes. Remove the bagpipe players by force, which is the show in itself. I mean, Scotsmen in their kilts, using their bagpipes as weapons with the New York City cops. That in itself is something I would really love to see. But anyway, so you gotta understand something here. We legitimately fuck up the Tony Awards, right? Just for one night. We fuck up the Tony Awards for one night. Just to prove that we can put the politics aside, leave it out of these shows, and just enjoy Broadway, or just enjoy the Grammys, or just enjoy the Oscars, the Golden Globes, or the Emmys, or the Screen Actors Guild, or the SAG Awards, or the what's the award show that they have for the bad actors? The Razzies. That, although they never televised the Razzies, but you get my point. But the partisan politics really have to leave the award shows, not the entertainment in itself, because once again, I do think partisan politics in some films, like documentaries or films based upon a certain time period where World War II is mentioned, or where it's a story like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which is a phenomenal film with James Stewart, if you haven't seen it. Or if it's World War II with Walter Cronkite, great documentary series, or if it's the Civil War made by Ken Burns, or the Roosevelts, an Intimate History made by Ken Burns. I love Ken Burns documentaries. Just saying. Woody Allen is my favorite comedic writer and favorite director when it comes to comedies or romantic comedies. And Ken Burns is my favorite documentary filmmaker, even though I have loads of other favorite comedians as well. But anyway, my point being is that politics in that sense fits well with the stories. Civil War, of course, you need politics in there. You can talk about the Civil War without the partisan politics. But you can have an award show without the partisan politics. So stop with all this anti-Trump shit at award shows and just do the tap dancing, or do the singing, or do the presenting, or do the fake, oh my God, I didn't expect to win this award shit, you know. It's all pre-planned. I mean, how people win these award shows is just fucking pre-planned. It's like really fucking ridiculous. Anyway, I wanted to get that out of the way first. Now I want to talk about the state of libertarianism. So let's well, did I just hit puberty? Anyway, so let's talk about, first of all, what the Libertarian Party needs to do first. First of all, you need to stop just allowing people to run that have no political experience. This is partially why nobody takes the Libertarian Party seriously. As ridiculous as the candidates are for the Democrats and the Republicans, and they are fucking ridiculous, these people have experience. They're serious candidates. They either went to school for poli-sci, or they were political activists and then ran locally and maybe were mayor of their town or governor of their state, or they worked their way up through the political ranks locally so they could get to the major offices. The point is, the Republicans and Democrats, they have experience. As ridiculous and as corrupt and as hacky as they are towards most of the American people, they have experience in politics. Libertarians, on the other hand, and look, as a libertarian, I am all for liberty and freedom over government control, but Jesus fucking Christ, we gotta run people that have some political experience, and not people who, you know, just run based on the ideas. And to quote Woody Allen is noted by saying that in life, all you're due is expected to show up. He's quoted, he's credited with that. He made a remark like that on a 1990s interview show he did when he was in England promoting, I believe, Shadows and Fog. But anyway, aside from that, you can't just show up and give a pretty speech and get people excited. You need to bring something to the table. And a lot of us libertarians just allow the people who run the Libertarian Party to just run wackos. Wackos. Like for example, the 2016 Libertarian Convention. What an embarrassment. A genuine embarrassment. The only sensible person that had any political experience was Gary Johnson. He was the only one at the whole Libertarian. I could be wrong, but it looked like he was the only one that had any political experience. Once again, I could be wrong. I'm not claiming that he was the only one. I'm guessing, based upon everyone else's embarrassing behavior. That one libertarian dude who's like over 500 fucking pounds and started taking his clothes off for no fucking reason. You want to run for president? That's not the behavior you do. Trump said a lot of stupid shit. He ran his foul-mouthed language. Hillary just pandered to the lowest common denominator of the Democrats. Both of them had the just show up mentality, and they just showed up and they gave pretty speeches, okay? But they brought something to the table to promise their supporters, right? Bernie did the same thing. Before I supported Gary Johnson, I was all for Bernie. But what did Bernie do? He brought something to the table. He brought substance to the table. As much as you could disagree with Bernie, Trump, Hillary, whoever. All three of them brought some form of substance to the table. Bernie brought a lot. Trump gave pseudo substance. It looked like a lot, but it was like very minuscule. And Hillary brought little to no substance, but she brought some. All three candidates brought some form of substance to the table. Keep that in mind. The Libertarians, on the other hand, what substance did they have? Oh, driver's license are a status thing. We shouldn't have driver's license. Are you fucking kidding me? You're fucking kidding me, right? We shouldn't have driver's licenses. Okay, so that's like saying, well, we need surgeons, but we don't need licensed surgeons. Or that's like me saying, you know, we could use someone who operates construction cranes, but we don't need someone licensed for it. This is why no one takes a libertarian seriously. And I know this sounds harsh coming from a libertarian, but this shit needs to be said. We need libertarians who have political experience. We need more Gary Johnsons. We need more Gary Johnsons and less of that 500-pound fat dude who was taking his clothes off. We need more libertarians who are willing to bring substance to the table, who are more willing to take the job seriously, and who are willing to realize that we need a limited government and not no government. Libertarians who are serious about running for president of the United States or any political office know that we need a limited government, and that if we had no government, the United States would not be able to stand. Being honest. Limited government works the best. No government doesn't work at all. And I know that there are libertarians who say, well, I'm an anarcho-libertarian. Yeah, you're just as beneficial to the political system like communists are. Yeah, your ideology, your ways of thinking sounds so great, but in the long run, it fails over time. Massively fails over time. You know how bad it fails over time? I'll tell you how bad it fails over time. Let's say we had anarcho-capitalism in this hypothetical sense. Anarcho-capitalism, so every man for himself. So let's say Wells Fargo Bank is giving out $1,000 each that day. And let's just say 30 people get to the bank first, and that 30 people is the only people allowed the $1,000 offered that day. That means everyone else gets nothing. You understand that, right? Everyone else gets nothing. That's anarcho-capitalism. That's true phony crony capitalism. So is this neoliberal shit. It is. This neo-conservative shit, this neoliberalism, economic shit, that's phony crony capitalism too. But a anarcho-capitalistic society is just as phony and crony. It isn't even capitalism. It's a radical form of communism, only to the right. Now, if we want, as libertarians, if we do want constructive capitalism, first of all, we got to understand that there is a use for the bank. There is a use for conservative and liberal economic policies. There is a use for it. There is a use for it. We got to understand that there is some use of the state. We got to be a little statist if we want to get voted in Washington or any form of office like that. We got to be willing to be a little bit statist, but not complete statist. We need to be willing to run on grassroots campaigns and say no to the corporate donors. For example, like, if another Gary Johnson comes along and they have this credible track record, right? You'll probably get someone like Monsanto, the Koch brothers, or any of these like libertarian, conservative, or liberal-leaning people trying to buy them to either run as a Democrat or Republican. And true principle libertarians say, no, we're not taking that. When I say true principled libertarians, is that when you say, and I know a lot of libertarians like to say this, especially the ones running for office. When libertarians like to say, we are for the people, we support the Constitution of the United States, we support the Declaration of the United States, which says, of the people, for the people, by the people, that means you don't let the corporations buy you out. That's what that means. You don't let the corporations buy you out. You say no to the corporations that you run on grassroots campaigns. This is how libertarians are going to be voted. Because it'll scare the Democrats or Republicans when they see their voters go to libertarians because they're running grassroots campaigns. They'll be like, what are we doing wrong? Oh, we're doing the bidding of our donors, while libertarians, while they're getting grassroots campaign, they're getting people excited. They're bringing shit to the table. They're promising people, and they're going to do stuff for the people that people actually want. See, that's the thing. We need to say no to the corporations, and we need to say yes to the grassroots campaigns. And I need to also say this as well. For the libertarians who are running as Democrats or Republicans for the 2018 midterms, first of all, don't do that. First of all, you're abandoning the libertarian principle of freedom and liberty over government. You are literally going against that by running as a Democrat or Republican. Look, I understand you want to be elected. I get that. I want more libertarians elected myself. However, we can't do that when we're registering ourselves as Democrats or Republicans to run for office. We can't expect our party or our affiliations with the party to get elected if we side with the Democrats or Republicans in the voting polls. We just can't expect to win elections like that. See, if any of us run as Democrats or Republicans, what happens? We're called a Democrat or Republican when we're elected, which is not what we are, right? Libertarians are not Republicans. They're not Democrats. We're libertarians. We have our own political identity. We have our own platform. We have our own stances on stuff. Like, for example, the beauty of libertarianism is that we can disagree fundamentally with policies, but yet we could compromise and bring ideas to the table to create a better platform. That's the beauty of libertarianism. While a lot of conservatives and a lot of Democrats, what do? They're in this one big fucking think tank. They're in this one big think tank. You get conservatives to fear, let's just say, refugees, right? And then what's a conservative stance at the voting polls? Oh, we must not let refugees in. And all conservatives are going to go by that fear-mongering, right? But it's just as bad for the Democrats, because you got the Democrats believing that fucking Russia hacked the election. Keep that in mind. You got the Democrats thinking that Russia hacked the election. Now, look, I'm not saying Trump is guilty, is innocent of financial collusion. All politicians are guilty of that shit. However, is Putin guilty of hacking our election? Fuck no. This was like the second time in U.S. political history where the candidate who got the popular vote lost to the electoral vote. Only second time. Trump won the votes of the people. He done that through persuasion and manipulation, like most establishment Republicans and Democrats win. But he ran on a false populist message, which also helped his likelihood. But the thing is, though, where was I? Oh, yeah. But the Democrats are going to run on that. Oh, we're against Trump. We're against Russians. We think Russians are bad people. Let's vote for Democrats. See what I mean? It's this one big fucking think tank. Libertarians, we could fundamentally disagree on a policy of the platform that we think is outdated, right? And we could say, no, we need to think of something else. And that we could come together and we could bring ideas to the table and create a new policy. That's the beauty of libertarianism. And when you run as a Republican or Democrat, you completely abandon that principle. Look, I don't like Trump. Me personally, I don't like Trump. I don't like Clinton either. I voted for Gavin Johnson. I voted my conscience. I didn't fall for that, oh, you gotta vote for the lesser of the two evils. Like, fuck that shit. If you're a libertarian, Democrat, Republican, Green Party, socialist, communist, whatever, right? Vote your conscience. Don't fall into this, like, lesser of two evils shit. That way of thinking is so fucking shitty. It's laughable. When someone says, oh, you throw away your vote when you vote your conscience, that's Catholic guilt trip shit. Have you ever seen a TV show or a movie where they have this Catholic nun that always guilt trips someone into going into church because they said no for a valid reason, like, oh, I have a doctor's appointment or whatever, right? And the nun's like, well, if you don't come to church, you're going to get a cancer diagnosis. It's the same way of thinking. People will tell you, oh, you'll throw away your vote if you vote for the Libertarian. No, it's voting your conscience. You're using your vote wisely. You're voting for the person who you think is going to do the better job. Just like the people who vote for Democrats or Republicans, right? Sorry. But anyway, you get my point. So, basically, you got to stick to the libertarian principles. Finally, the third thing that I really need to clarify about state libertarianism, besides, we got to run real candidates that have political experience and that we need to stick to the principles of libertarianism, we also need to do this. We need to get our conventions, our events televised by C-SPAN. Because PBS won't do it. CNN won't do it. Fox News won't do it. MSNBC won't do it. C-SPAN would. We need to get them to televise our events. Why? Oh, that's right. C-SPAN doesn't have an affiliation. C-SPAN is all of Washington. Technically, when you watch C-SPAN and you see full lines for Democrats, Republicans, and independents, technically, we fall under that category. We technically fall under the independent category. Now, we could get C-SPAN to cover our events. We might have to push and shove them to, but we got to get them to cover our events. Because that's the other problem. We don't get enough airtime. No one knows enough about libertarians or the people running. We got to get airtime. Look, it's a great thing when we know who's running on our platform, but if we want other people to vote for us, we just can't expect them to just look up libertarians who are running for office. We just can't do that. We need C-SPAN to cover our events. We need to get televised. We need to get television airtime. And the only segment of the 2016 Libertarian Convention that got televised was that 500-pound dude who took his clothes off. That was the only thing that got televised because people thought it was a joke. I mean, it was a joke, but you get the point. Instead of doing stupid shit, we need to get C-SPAN to cover our events. Oh, one more thing. Before it slips my mind. We need to, instead of alienate our opponents, we need to humanize them. And that doesn't happen very often. I mean, we're all guilty of doing it, whether or not you're a libertarian or not, we're all guilty of making our opponents our enemies. No, we need to humanize the people we disagree with, because that's the only way we're going to get shit passed. That's the only way we're going to get shit passed, is when we humanize the people we disagree with. Because we see this shit on the internet all the time. All the fucking time. Stuff like, oh, well, if you're not a feminist, then you must be a sexist, or if you don't support some fill in the blank of some racist mentality, because there's plenty, oh, then you're fill in the blank of a stereotype. Or if you don't support this movie, or your fill in the blank. You get what I'm saying, right? Instead of blocking the people we disagree with into categories and making them appear to be enemies. Look, I'm guilty of it, everyone is, but we really need to stop doing that, and we need to humanize the people we disagree with. Because who knows? We could disagree with someone 97% of the time, but 3% of the time they might say, you know what? I agree with you. I agree with you on that. We need to find common ground. And this is why libertarian policies don't even get into local areas or Congress. Because we need to find common ground. Most Americans, if you ask them, do you like paying high taxes? They'll probably say, no, I don't like to pay high taxes. And then you say something like, well, what if you paid the necessary taxes, like infrastructure and education, but yet you didn't have to pay for the unnecessary taxes? You might get Democrats or Republicans to say, you know what? I'm on board with that idea. You can fairly well convince people when you humanize the people you disagree with. And also, not just humanize them when you're talking to them in the political sense, but also get to know them on a personal level. Become friends with them. Because guess what? Most people are fundamentally decent human beings. I have friends of all different political backgrounds, of all racial backgrounds, of all religious and non-religious backgrounds. And you know what? Do I disagree with some of my friends on politics? Yeah. But do I unfriend them because they think differently from me? No. And that's the other thing people need to stop doing, not just libertarians, but a lot of people. Stop blocking, stop unfriending just because someone thinks differently than you. Unless they're harassing you, being a bully to you, whatever, right? Those are genuine cases of justified blocking. However, in most cases, you could disagree, but have a conversation about it and come to understand each other's way of approaching the topic. That way, next time we talk about it, you could still disagree with them, but understand where they're coming from. And hell, maybe your mindset might change. Maybe you might disagree with your friend on something, but then they might say, no, you got it wrong. And they could probably prove to you in some cases that you're wrong. So basically, I'm about to repeat myself, but you get the point. Libertarianism really needs fixing up to do. We need to run real politicians. We need to get C-SPAN to cover our conventions. We need to stop with the dividing people because they think differently from us. We need to stop running as Republicans and Democrats. Okay? And we need to humanize people we disagree with and become friends with them. Because we gotta be kinder to each other. It goes way beyond political lines. It goes way beyond all that. As a human, speaking to other humans, we need to be kinder to each other. Plain and simple. We gotta empathize with one another. We gotta sympathize with one another because we're all in this together. Doesn't matter what your political background is. Doesn't matter what your racial background is. Doesn't matter what your gender is. Doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. We're all in this together. We all share this one earth. We all share this life. And we all have issues we face. We need to hear each other out. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy. See you next time.